Greetings, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Pooh Jays Network. Yes, we're the Pooh Jays Network here on Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host and talker on this particular show, which features progressive rock, hard rock, and other forms of rock music. So today we are back at it. This is the number 7 in my favorite 4 album runs, the series we're running for the month of August. So I'm hoping that you'll like this one. I'm sure you will. This one and the Styx one were pretty neck and neck here. I gave this one on the strength of the two stronger albums here. Together, I think they're stronger than the top two Styx albums for me there. So that's why I kind of gave it out. But absolutely killer. So we're going to start out with the debut album from my favorite band, Rush. Now, this album hasn't done as well as it did early on in the career when it was one of my first Rush albums I owned. I played it a lot, and I liked it a lot, but it kind of has faded over time. But it's made a little bit of a comeback in recent years. The album cover with Standing's not bad, but it's not really that great either. But the songs, there's still some songs on here that are absolutely biting. Finding My Way being one of them. In the Mood, of course, is the kind of radio-friendly song. And Working Man, which is the classic big Rush song that everybody knows and loves. Also like I Need Some Love. Gonna need some lovin'. Yeah. The tracks on here, there's no stellar songs other than Working Man, but the rest of the tracks on here are really solid, really good. This album does well for me based on those type of things, and it needs to start this run off. The second album in the run, of course, is this album, Fly By Night, with one of the best album covers by Rush and by many bands. Actually, I think this is an absolute killer album. It was probably the first Rush album I have ever listened to in its entirety, although it wasn't the first one I owned and wasn't the first one that I got into before till I started following Rush. But I had listened to it for a couple of weeks. I borrowed it from the library. Anthem is a killer track. One of the great Alex Lifeson riff master that he is, creating a kind of a different sound, but really catchy sound. Best I Can could have been on their first album. Really great song. Beneath, Between, Behind. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but I do like it. One of the great epic songs of all time, I think, Bytor and the Snow Dog. Fantastic. And then you get the flip side, which is a little bit more traditional Rush sounding from their first album. Fly By Night and Making Memories, though, are two of my favorite songs by Rush. They've got that kind of more of a almost a rock-friendly kind of sound to them. Nothing extraordinary, no fantastic guitars, a little more of an acoustic feel to both songs. So Fly By Night, Making Memories, two great songs. Rivendell, a lot of people don't really care for this song. It's a little bit quiet, a little bit but I do enjoy listening to the story being told on the song. And In the End, which is a kind of a heavy melodic tune, doesn't really seem to be sounding too much like anything else on the album. The rest of the album is kind of a bit fast-paced if you listen to the first 4 songs anyways, and the other 2 acoustic bits are good but still up-tempo. Only Rivendell, which is kind of more in that ballad sound, even though it's not even anything close to a ballad. But In the End is more melodic and heavier and more like Working Man, I think. So there you go, Fly By Night. To number 3, one of my favorite albums as well. Maybe not, I don't like it quite as much as Fly By Night, but I do like it quite a bit. Caress of Steel. This is their first kind of sauntering into that really strong progressive element and a sidelong epics like they have here with Fountain of Lameth. All the parts in Fountain of Lameth I absolutely love, especially the Panacea and the Bacchus Plateau, which are absolutely killer parts to this album. You got your A side of the album, Bastille Day, kind of a heavy, almost an anthem-like song. I Think I'm Going Bald. I think they threw that in there because Gene Simmons wrote that song, I Think I'm Going Blind, so they just kind of did a parody on it. Lakeside Park, which is probably my favorite Rush song, is on this album. And then you have The Necromancer, which is a dark, foreboding song, but it talks about places I'm familiar of, like the Don River and Willowdale, places in Toronto. Anyways, fantastic tune. Fantastic album, Caress of Steel. Then Caress of Steel's bigger sister. Very similar album in very many respects. Sidelong epic, same as Caress of Steel, and then 4 or 5 smaller songs that have varying degrees of success at different times in their history. 2112, of course, is heavy, a metal song probably, and many people feel that this was the song and the album that launched Rush into the mainstream and people started taking notice of them. Of course, Overtures and Temple of Sphinx, of the Shrinks. Anyways, both those tunes are well known. 2 of Rush's bigger stuff, Discovery, is a little bit of an acoustic part that's really good too, and ending up with a grand finale, which of course is fantastic. You got the second side of the album with this Passage to Bangkok, which is a killer tune, maybe the biggest song after 2112 on the album. Twilight Zone and Lessons and Tears and Something for Nothing. Something for Nothing is another very similar kind of heavy pop, heavy song. Great tune. The other 3 in the middle, Twilight Zone, Lessons, and Tears, are all varying degrees of success. Parts I like, parts I'm not as crazy about. But overall, this is a very strong album. I'm thinking of nominating it this year as a masterpiece too. So I'm considering it for masterpiece. It's one of the dozen or so albums that I'll be considering for that. So there you have it. Rush's 4-album run, starting with their debut album, Rush, and a different drummer on that album as well. Fly By Night, their second album, with a fantastic cover. Caress of Steel with a Necromancer in Toronto. And last but not least, the legendary Ayn Rand 2112 here from Rush. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit the like and subscribe and comment in the comment section, please. And hit the notification bell. And we will see you tomorrow with another episode. So take care and goodbye.